there, my name is Jessica Lowell. I'm a luxury wedding and portrait photographer in Northeast Georgia, and today I want to talk to you about 8 tips for prepping for a wedding. So prepping for a wedding is very important. It helps you arrive to the day prepared for the day, relaxed. It should help with any anxiety you might get or butterflies you get pre-wedding shoot. Whether you are new to the wedding world or you are seasoned, these are just always some great reminders. So first, timeline prep. About 2 months before the wedding, I send my clients a very extensive questionnaire. I have my questionnaire set up in Dubsado, and they can save it in sections since it is so long, but it covers everything I need to know, including all of the names of the wedding party, all of the names of the family members. This questionnaire helps me to set up their photographic timeline. I tell all my clients, I'll create your photographic timeline. It's basically everything up to the 30 minutes before your ceremony. Then your coordinator creates their master timeline, and we marry them together so that they have a stress-free day and they'll never have to look at their watch. With that, when I create my timeline, they'll know exactly what time we're arriving, what to have ready for us. Yeah, I have a note in the timeline, have details, rings, invitations, have all that stuff ready for when we arrive. They'll know what time hair and makeup needs to be done, what time we're slipping them into the dress, what time the second photographer is going over to where the groom's getting ready. All of the things. So the timeline prep, I email that to them anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, just depends how fast they get that questionnaire set up. 4 to 6 weeks, and then I also want to get it right over to the coordinator because that makes their job easier, but it also lets them know how much time I need. So if they're not having a first look, the coordinator knows I need at least an hour. I don't want them doing their dances on that 1 hour mark. I need the hour before their intros, before their dances. So if you get ahead of the master coordinator, that will really help you. Master coordinator, is that even a thing? The wedding day coordinator is what I should have said. 2, visit the venue before your pre-wedding walkthrough. So if this is a venue I've never shot at, I have been doing this since day 1. Let's say I'm going to shoot at venue XYZ and I've never been there before. About 2 weeks before the wedding, after I've got the timeline created, I am going to go to the venue during the time I am going to be shooting. So if I know we're doing a first look at 2 p.m., I will go to the venue about 1 o'clock. Now you want to contact the venue. You want to make sure they're going to know you're going to be on the property and have permission, but that's usually never an issue. But I will go about 1 o'clock. I bring my phone and I keep it in video mode, and I start videoing all of my thoughts and all of my ideas. I find where the good light is, where the diffused light is, where the beautiful spot is in case it rains, right? So I am walking around with my video camera on my phone and I'm taking notes. I'm pointing, I'm like, the sun is right here at 2 p.m. and then there's this tree with this beautiful diffused light. So I want to set up the first look here, right? Then I move over. Here's this beautiful rose bush. We can use that for foreground. I can shoot a shot horizontal, and I'm videoing and I'm pointing and then I'm talking through my thoughts. That way, before the wedding day, I can rewatch all of that. Because if I have weddings every weekend, sometimes that won't come right back to you. So before the wedding day at XYZ venue, the night before, the day before, I will go back and watch all of my video notes. So I'm super prepared. Again, also the other important thing is having a backup plan for rain, going and visiting that venue and making sure that you know where the best light is going to be based on rain, right? If you know the sun is going to be here at 2 p.m. during the first look, but it's going to be overcast all day, instead of shooting in this direction, I need to make a note that I'm going to be shooting in this direction, right? So that the clouds are a giant softbox and the light is right on them. So then I want to find the most perfect spot for that. And I need a covered option for rain. So that is why I visit the venue about 2 weeks before or 3 weeks, because I want to do that before tip number 3. Tip number 3 is having a pre-wedding walkthrough. For my pre-wedding walkthrough, I simply have a phone call. I schedule it with my clients about 2 weeks before the wedding, and I tell them it's going to take about 20 minutes, but we just walk through the timeline. When we walk through the timeline over the phone, I just simply call them, see how they're doing, see how all the last minute stuff is going, create some small talk, catch up. Said, Okay, we're just really I'm gonna walk through the timeline. I'm gonna make sure I have everything covered. I remind them what time I'm showing up. I remind them about having all of those details ready. I remind them what time hair and makeup needs to be done, right? So I'm actually walking through my timeline and I'm taking notes. And I'm like, I see you want to do a bridesmaid's first look. Have you thought about who you want in the room with you when you're getting dressed? Like if you don't already have that covered. So walking through the timeline, as you're doing it out loud and your couples are listening, you're also thinking about all of the little details that might not have gotten covered in the questionnaire or might not have gotten covered emailing back and forth as you finalize that timeline. And there's always something that comes up, some sort of reminder, or, oh, I want you to take a big group picture of everybody to get the dance floor full. Those kind of things always come up. But it also reassures your bride that you know what you're doing. It reassures them that they won't ever have to look at their watch at all during the wedding day. You reassure them that you've got this covered, that you're gonna make sure they're on time no matter what goes wrong. You are setting yourself up as the expert and reassuring them that they hired the right person for the job. So I always do that, and then I get all the way to, this is how we're gonna do your exit photo. And just like usual, so they already know basically my workflow because they've already had an engagement session. So just like your engagement session, I'm gonna send you sneak peeks by the end of the next evening. And then when all of your photos are ready, you'll get your gallery, yada, yada, however you do business, right? So you remind them that. And then after the pre-wedding, after you've walked through the timeline, do you have any questions? Do you have anything else we've covered? Have you double checked this family portrait list? Because I will tell you, your clients aren't reading their emails. Even if you put in the email, double check the family portrait list that they've already given to you. I had a bride this year come back to me after the wedding. I needed to Photoshop dad into one of the photos with her and all her siblings because they didn't double check the family portrait list. It inadvertently got left out. These clients are busy. They have jobs, full-time jobs, they're working, and they're planning a wedding. That's stressful. So just make sure you're covering everything, and sometimes some stuff does get missed, but I'm like, look at this, double check this family portrait list while you're on the phone. Make sure you got everything covered. If you think of a family portrait that might be missed after we get off the phone, email it to me, what have you. So that was tip number 3. Make sure you have a phone call or a video chat or an in-person chat of a pre-wedding walkthrough. Okay, tip number 4, the day before the wedding. Find your best GIF on your phone, type in wedding photographer, type in wedding dance. Find the best GIF, send it and say, tomorrow's a big day. I hope you make the most of today. Know that I can't wait to celebrate alongside you. Send. Simple. You're just reassuring them that you're going to be there, you're not going to be late, you're not mixing up the date, and that they picked the right photographer for the job, right? Plain and simple. It's something happy. They might be at their last day at work before their honeymoon, and they just get this random text from one of their vendors they hired. It's a gift. Who doesn't love gifts? I love gifts. So tip number 5. Prep all your wedding gear the day before. I make sure, so if I have a wedding on Saturday, all of my batteries are fully charged by Friday afternoon. I start charging batteries Thursday evening. I have camera batteries and I have flash batteries, right? So I start charging 2 days before the wedding since I have so many. I may be a little neurotic. I think you can never have too many backups, right? And then on Friday, I format all of my cards. I have a little card wallet. I format extra cards for myself, extra cards for my associate photographer, more than you need. Always, always, always have backups, right? The night before the wedding, I get all of my light stands packed up. I get umbrellas packed up. I get my camera bag. I have all of my cards formatted, and both my main camera and my backup camera have fresh cards in them and fresh batteries ready to go. All of my lenses have been cleaned, and my camera has been time synced. Time.gov. I send that link to my associate the day before and tell them, don't forget to time sync your camera. This way we're not showing up day of and time syncing to each other's cameras, which neither are perfect. I tell my associates, and the evening before a wedding, I just go to time.gov and I sync all of my cameras to the time on the government clock, right? And time.gov is cool. It has all of the time zones. The other thing is, so that was prep gear the day before. So that's charging all of your batteries. Packing gear the night before is tip number 6. I have everything packed and I set it out by my front door or in my living room by my couch. That way when I wake up in the morning, I only have to get ready. Do not put your gear in the car the night before. Your car could get broke into. I actually showed up at a winter wedding with some wedding videographers, and they showed up and they're like, dude, all of our camera batteries are dead. We packed all our gear last night. Everything was charged. What's going on? When you put fully charged camera batteries in your vehicle, and that night it got down in the 20s, the cold will drain batteries. And they had no idea. It was a learning experience for them. Thank God they brought chargers with them. But when they showed up to the wedding, all of their batteries were dead because they had stored their equipment in their vehicle the night before. Don't do that. Put it somewhere by the door. Make sure it's all together so you don't forget anything. Double check everything. Have a packing list. I love any list. I have a packing list for everything. I have a packing list for vacations. I have a packing list for photography. I have a packing list for scuba diving. The Any List app, it's free, it's awesome, and just always double check. Make sure you've got everything. Number 7. I set alarms on my phone the night before. I print out my timeline. I like to have a printed timeline and a printed family list. I know that seems archaic, but the reason I like to have that is because some guests and some clients might see you looking at the family list or looking at the timeline on your phone and think that you're on social media or think that you're checking their emails, right? How often do we judge people for being at the dinner table swiping on their phones? But we don't know what they're really doing, right? If you see somebody at a restaurant and you're like, oh, look at them. They're just on their phones. They're not even looking at each other. They might be making plans or booking a vacation. We don't know what they're doing, right? So if you're looking at your phone on a wedding day and you're just trying to remember the family's names, or you're about to shoot the family photo list, or you're just trying to make sure you're on time and somebody else sees you, somebody you haven't yet created a relationship with, somebody that didn't pay you, they might think, dang, that photographer's always on her phone. You don't want to set that impression. So I like to have a printed list. I put it in my belt, in my camera shooting belt, my Spyder Pro belt. And that way when I have a timeline related issue, I pull it out and look at it. And then nobody questions that. But the night before, I literally go in alarms on my iPhone, and if we have to slip the bride into her dress at 2 o'clock, at 1:45, an alarm goes off, get the bride in her dress, so that I'm always 15 minutes ahead, because then I can go, okay, time to go to the restroom, right? All of the things. Now, I keep my phone on silent, and then I set my watch to a very low tone and a very high vibration. The other thing is you want to be careful when you set alarms. You don't want to set them in important times. You don't want to set an alarm that the ceremony is starting at 5 at 5, because by then the bride's already walking up the aisle, right? Or for first looks. So if we do a bridesmaid's first look and a daddy-daughter first look before the bride and groom first look, I just set one first look alarm 15 minutes before it's supposed to happen. That way, if we get ahead of schedule in the middle of the daddy-daughter first look, the daddy-daughter first look alarm doesn't go off. Even though it's on very low, it could still ruin the moment. So that you want to be careful about which alarms you set, but setting alarms all day for 10 to 15 minutes early will really help keep you on time. We're usually finally eating dinner just a few minutes before cake cutting and toasts. So I always put cake cutting and toasts about 15 minutes early. That way when it goes off and I'm not done with my dinner, or I'm still in the middle of a conversation with the videographer and my associate, since it's the first time we've sat down all day, I know, okay guys, we got about 5 more minutes and then we need to get out on the floor. So that'll really help keep you on time. And tip number 8, the best tip of all. They're all amazing tips. Be early. Be early. On time, we have a saying, if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And I tell my second photographers this, my associates, if I have an associate show up right on time or even a few minutes late, they're gonna have to work their booty off to ever get rehired from me again. Like, I think it's extremely unprofessional. I live an hour north of Atlanta. I technically live in the mountains. So if I have a venue and I do my mapping the night before and I just make sure I know if it's gonna take me an hour to get to the venue, I leave my house 2 hours early. That's right, I give myself an extra hour. If you've ever dealt with Atlanta traffic, you already know. But if I get to the venue or I'm right around the corner from the venue an hour early, I can pull over. Chick-fil-A, Burger King, Walmart, find a parking lot somewhere. I usually do that. I stop, I might go use the restroom wherever I've stopped at. I get back in my car, I start to pray. I pray for my day. I pray that God works gracefully through me and through my associate. I pray that we are there to serve our couple with our whole hearts. I pray that we can create amazing art and that God gives us this supernatural ability. And I start praying for my couple's marriage and that it's built on the rock and the solid foundation. That's me. That's what I do. I pray in my car before I start working on a wedding day. That's huge for me. So if I arrive early, I do that. It's a time I can call a family member, catch up. I text my husband, I've made it, I'm here, I'm okay. You can scroll on social media or you can start working an hour early. I actually do usually start working about 20 minutes early. I'll go in about 30 minutes early. If the reception's also at that venue, I go ahead and get all my light stands set up in the reception area, or I get them all set up and put away in a closet or a corner in case there's a room flip. Because that will save me time from family photos after the ceremony until the reception, right? So I'm always trying to think ahead, how to work smarter, not harder, and how to stay ahead of the schedule. The other thing is I can go in and give hugs, and sometimes the bride's like, oh, you're here. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm early, right? Again, they're being reassured that they've hired the right person for the job, that you're going to keep them on time like you've promised. And then that also gives you an extra 20 minutes to set up details. Because I don't know about you, but for me, for some reason, it takes me forever to make the perfect flat lay. So that gives me extra time to get ahead on the details and get into the room where all the girls are having fun and laughing and getting their hair and makeup done and stuff. So that is my final tip. Again, 8 tips prepping for a great wedding day. 1, timeline prep before the wedding. 2, visit the venue before the wedding. 3, do a pre-wedding walkthrough. Whether you do that on the phone, a video, or in person, walk through the timeline, ensure that you've got everything covered. 4, text the client a fun gift the day before. 5, prep all of your wedding gear, charge all of your batteries. 6, pack all of that wedding gear the night before, have it ready to go. 7, set all your alarms on your phone, sync your watch to it the night before. And 8, plan to arrive early. I hope this helps set you up for an amazing wedding day. Again, I'm Jessica Lowell. I'm based out of Northeast Georgia. Thank you for watching my YouTube. Oh, and if you want to be on my insiders list, I've got a freebie listed below for you. I'm giving away my favorite prompts and poses for couples. And with that, you will be the first to know because I've got something huge on the way to help wedding photographers on the sales side of their business coming up mid-year, and you're gonna wanna know about it. Thank you again and have a blessed day.